Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery with IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It is a beautiful Friday morning, January 29th, 2021. My pleasure to visit with you this morning. As you likely know, we get together most weekday mornings at this time, right before 8 o'clock Central. And this is a Zoom training and support webinar for our distribution partners. We have three primary types of distribution partners. We have affiliates, free and easy to be an affiliate. Who wouldn't want to be an affiliate? Help people, no selling, get paid. And with that, we are not MLM or network marketing, but our affiliate structure is 3 tiers deep. And what that essentially means is you can earn overrides from your sub-affiliates and from what we like to call your sub-affiliates. So free and easy to become an affiliate, and you can do so right on the IIMFL website on the career page. Secondly, we have our credit literacy educators. Our credit literacy educators are our professionals that are out improving credit literacy and helping people get driven into the Credit Boost program. Credit Boost program's a slam dunk, isn't it? No upfront cost, not credit repair. Instead, we help add new positive trade lines, averaging a 100-point increase in the first 30 to 60 days, allowing people to qualify for mortgages, qualify for auto loans, qualify for business loans, or whatever utility that they're looking to accomplish through better credit. Our credit literacy educators earn on average $9,000 a month. It's not get rich quick. You know, this isn't like winning the Mega Millions or the Powerball lottery. You're not going to become wealthy overnight. But for a lot of people, an extra $9,000 a month for a side gig is enough to warrant a little bit of their time. And that's off of the assumption of helping one person a day over a 30-day period. Lastly, we have our joint venture incubator partners. They're at the top of the food chain. We're in a 50-50 net revenue split with them. We're in the process of opening 100 physical offices across the country. It's an initiative we originally kicked off last year, but had to pause because of the pandemic. Those local offices are obviously ran by our joint venture partners. Think of Edward Jones or H&R Block or State Farm as a physical footprint type of analogy. And then in those local offices, we're able to educate and also implement. So we bring it to local communities. All right, so with that being said, we're going to change up based upon the feedback I'm hearing from some of you. So each day on our morning Zoom training, we're going to start with a success story of the day, and then we'll move into the topic. And of course, our primary goal is Q&A. And so we use the question and answer function within Zoom, kind of like a chat box, so you can state your comments, questions, or concerns. So with that, hopefully the screen is shared. It should be. And we'll start with the success story of the day. Obviously, we have to protect client identity, so we can't give you the person's full name, their social security number, and so forth. But we'll start with the client success story of the day. This gentleman has a unique enough name. You know, if it was Donald, I would have wrote Donald on here, but he has a unique enough name that we just went with full initials. He's a new access to capital client, and he just received $12,000 for FTF. So that's liquid funding that went into his account. What is FTF? Well, we've covered it before, but let's recap. So when a client comes in during the first 4 weeks of access to capital, week one is educating them on business planning and then starting their business plan. Week two is looking at some of the financial matters, but what we do is we do a soft credit pull and work on their personal financial statement. Our model now is at week two, it was 95%. We've upped it to 100%. Our goal now is to get 100%, every one of them, 100% of our access to capital clients, their first tranche financing, in other words, their first round of funding, in week two. And so on the week two phone call now, if all's going according to plan, we will help them apply and get at least one funding offer on the second week phone call. Now, if they weren't compliant leading up to week 2, it may be pushed back a week, but the design is to get now 100% of our clients their first tranche financing on the week 2 call. Now, for DT here, 12,000 did a couple things. It allowed him to pay the refundable deposit, which we know that when clients enroll in the access to capital, how much out-of-pocket cost do they have? 0. How much out-of-pocket cost do clients have to enroll in the access to capital program? 0. Is there a deposit? Yes. Is it collected up front? No. It's collected after the first round of funding, which will now consistently be in week 2. So in his case, we applied, he got approved, he got funded for $12,000. Of that $12,000, he paid the refundable deposit. You know, and I know the referral source makes how much? Half of that. So we're sending $1,250 to you every time you bring on a new client 2 weeks later, once they get their FTF, their first tranche financing. That's a big deal. David's on the call today. He wasn't on yesterday when we used him as a success story. He brought on, we'll call him V, and V got his first round of funding late last week. V paid his refundable deposit, and now we already wired $1,250 into Dave's pocket. So from that one client in one day, he made $1,250. If we did not wire you $1,250 yesterday, we need to fix that, because every day we should be wiring you at least $1,250. That puts you on track for $30,000 a month. All right, so back to this success story. So new client, approved for $12,000, cash funding, not a Walmart gift card. It was cash funding. He paid the deposit, and now he's got the rest put into his business bank account to improve his business bank rating. If you don't know how bank ratings are calculated, we can talk about that on a different call, but he's in great shape because of that. Now, the FTF doesn't fund into his business account. We don't want it to fund into his business account. It funded into DT's personal account. So then when DT transfers money into his business account, now it's an equity contribution. It's important, of course, if the business can have a stronger bank rating, that helps, but that money doesn't show as debt to the business. It's an equity injection from the business owner, and that helps with further rounds of financing because it shows that the owner has demonstrated capital investment in their business. All right, so there's the first success story. I know you all are hungry, thirsty for success stories, so this is the first one off the top of my head from yesterday. Distribution partner, Joseph. Joseph is online right now. So Joseph is one of our distribution partners, great guy. We're celebrating his first enrollment of a client in Capital Ready Package 3.0. You might say, what the hell is that? Well, Capital Ready Package 3.0 is the same as Access to Capital with the following exceptions. Number one, the client pays $2,500 up front. Number two, with that, then they get a couple perks. They get the commercial address if needed for free and credit boost if needed for free. So, but what's the point? Joseph, great job. He closed the deal. He collected the $2,500, which is what on the CRP 3.0 you do. You collect the $2,500, and then he submitted half into us. We'll be implementing the client today. So there are two simple success stories from yesterday, and we'll continue. We have clients that get funded all the time. We pay out commissions all the time. Normally, just out of discreetness, we don't talk about it, but I hear too often that you all want to hear those success stories. So we've listened, and we'll start talking about at least one success story per day. All right, any questions that anyone has on the success stories of the day that we just covered? If you have a question, comment, concern, go ahead and post it on the Q&A before we move forward. Success stories of the day. Each of you can be a Joseph. You can get paid either by pitching the 3.0 and you collect the $2,500 up front, or more than often what will happen is you'll take access to capital to the marketplace. Client has no out of pocket. We get them 2 weeks in, we get them their FTF like we did with the DT, and then that creates a commissionable event. All right, I don't see any questions or comments, concerns, so we're rolling forward. Topic of the day. I sent out an email teaser about this yesterday. We launched a new trade line for FTF yesterday. So again, let's step back. FTF stands for what? First tranche financing. Using just layman's terms, it's the first round of capital for a client that's designed to be triggered in week 2. Now, you can be a pessimist and say, well, I've had clients that didn't get funded in week 2. Well, this is a new process, right? We talked about it last week. We're implementing it now. If you have any clients that have been with us, that, in other words, they're past week 2, of course it didn't happen because they came aboard before this was part of the process. Just simply have them schedule a mentor call and we can take them to funding most likely on the next call. With that being said, though, when we go to first tranche financing, it is designed, its intention is to be cash funding into the client's account. Frankly, it could be installment or revolving, and we talked some about this earlier this week. It used to be that they could be denied for it. Now this is our safety net, so we'll remove that contingency. But it could be a little bit of funding. It could be up to $75,000. It's rare to see more than $75,000 of FTF. Again, could be installment or revolving. But beyond that, we've launched this new trade line, started it yesterday, off to a great start. And it's for those access to capital clients that don't have any of the 3 C's. In other words, they can't qualify for anything else. This is their safety net. What are the 3 C's? Same thing you and I learned in school, right? If you want to borrow money, you either have to have creditworthiness, cash flow, or collateral. One of those 3. If you have more than one of the 3, it's better. Do clients need at least one of those 3 to enroll in the Access to Capital program? Absolutely not. That's what makes us different. We can help them accomplish or obtain one or more of those 3 C's. But when we go into the second week and go for FTF, if you have someone that has none of the 3 C's, now we have a safety net, this new trade line. So let's talk about it. The terms are very attractive. 0% interest. No one's going to argue about that, right? That's cheap money. Number 2, it's essentially guaranteed approval. So we're labeling it 99.9%. Well, what would keep someone from getting approved? Well, there is no minimum credit score. They do need to be a U.S. citizen. The business that they're forming needs to be U.S. based. They need to be at least 18 years old. And they have to complete the credit application. So, I mean, it's basic. Oh, and they also have to have at least $1,400 a month in income. So above poverty level. So the bottom line is pretty much everyone will qualify for this. It's the safety net, though. This is only offered if we can't get them approved for other sources of funding for the FTF, because it's a bit of a hybrid model, which I'm going to discuss. It's a recourse agreement. We're on the hook. We're a co-signer. We are co-signing for the damn loans for every one of these people to allow them to get approved. That's why it's working. But anyway, moving forward. There's no hard inquiry, which is great, right? We're not burning a hard inquiry for this trade line. Funding is next day. I mean, it's hard to beat, right? 0%, essentially guaranteed approval, no minimum credit score, no hard inquiry, fast. And it reports as a new positive trade line on their credit report. So now they're getting benefit from a new positive trade line that they're making payments on time. I mean, this is golden. If you look at this and tell me what could make it better, I'd be shocked that you can come up with something. I mean, it's like checking every box of what we can do to help people that have none of the 3 C's. All right, now it is hybrid in structure, so that affects you and that affects us, because it is a recourse debt, not meaning that you're on the hook, but it means we're on the hook. We're co-signing this debt instrument for every one of these clients. So guess what? If they don't pay, we're on the hook. We're you could, if you want to replace recourse debt, because that's confusing. We are co-signing on all these damn applications for credit. We're on the hook. So since we're on the hook for the 2,500, we can't turn around and pay you $1,250 like would normally occur, because if that client stops paying, guess what? We're paying that bill. We're paying that bill. So therefore, if someone can't qualify for any other type of FTF, and we get down to this new trade line, it's a $2,500 installment account, then the commissions are paid out what's called on an as earned basis. Those of you that have an insurance background know what that means. So essentially, you're earning $200 a month out. You're still getting the full $1,250, but it would be crazy for us to go co-sign recourse loans for bad credit people that haven't paid their bills in the past, and then go send off $1,250 to you, even though we've not received the $2,500. That would be the definition of insanity. So are you paid the same amount through this debt instrument? Absolutely. Is it last resort if they can't get approved for anything else? It is. But you're not paid in advance because we're on the hook. We're co-signing for this loan. And if that person stops paying, you'll receive whatever commission. You're getting 50% of their payments. They're paying $100 payments. So you're essentially getting $50 of the 100 of each payment. So you're getting paid the same ratio, but it's as earned, because we're just not going to be a co-signer for thousands, if not tens of thousands of bad credit people, and then take the risk of sending you a bunch of money up front, because what if they don't keep paying? So as long as they're paying, you get paid, and so since you're getting paid $200 per month per client, that's not as attractive as getting $1,250 up front. And our goal is to not drive people into this safety net. But if that's the only source of capital they can qualify for because they have none of the 3 C's, then at least we can capture 100% of the marketplace. All right, so now we're to your questions, comments, concerns. What questions, comments, concerns do any of you have about either what we've covered today or other topics? It's fine. All right, Robert has questions about what Billy did, and Billy's online here, and I actually talked to Billy this morning. So Billy reported that he was, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that he was 6 for 6, which meant he's running primarily Craigslist ads. He ran a bunch of ads, got a bunch of responses, and he had 6 for 6 enroll in access to capital. And so that was the process, Robert. Okay, so there's that. Dion's asking about this trade line. This trade line is for the refundable deposit, isn't it? It's for the refundable deposit. It's a $2,500 installment account that is used to fund the refundable deposit. That's specifically what this is for, Dion, because this is someone that has none of the 3 C's. They don't qualify for anything in the rest of the world. They don't have cash flow, creditworthiness, and or collateral to qualify for normal financing, Dion. So we have a safety net to help fund the refundable deposit. So that way we can continue to work with them and you can get paid. It's paid a little bit different, right? Because of the resource agreement or recourse debt, but at least you're getting paid for the client rather than not getting paid. Dion, let me know if I missed your point there. And Dave's asking about where does it fund? Well, it's funding us, right? Because what we're doing is financing their refundable deposit. The promise that we make to access to capital clients, Dave and others, is you will not have to pay that refundable deposit out of pocket. Instead, we'll wait till your first tranche of financing. That now by design should be occurring in week 2, at least between weeks 2 and 3 of the program. If they've not managed their life very effectively and they have none of the 3 C's, then this is the safety net. This is the financing tool that we'll use. We'll extend to them an installment loan, and that installment loan will fund their refundable deposit. Okay, thank you, Dave, for that. What other questions do any of you have about the success stories or the topic of the day? And I see a couple comments, so let me restate. What's the relevance? What should we take away from it? Let's get away from the details. What should we take away from it? We know that now we can guarantee, we're just going to call it 100%. We can guarantee 100% of clients their first tranche of financing in the first 30 days, most often in week 2. That's a big statement. What is that financing going to be used for? Minimally, it's going to be used to cover the refundable deposit, right? Because that's how you get your first paycheck. That's how we get paid to develop the loan package. They may very well get a lot more than just enough for the refundable deposit. DT here got almost $10,000 more from just his first tranche of financing. But the point we're trying to make is we have a new resource that is treated a little bit differently, but it has many, many perks, and it allows you and I to have a safety net so we can go to the marketplace and guarantee financing in the first 30 days for every client that comes in. Now, the amount and the nature of the financing could vary, but 100% of the clients now, from yesterday going forward, in their first 30 days, usually in 2 weeks, will get their first tranche of financing. All right, Billy asked about the payoff. The payoff is they pay 1/25 of the loan amount per week. So it's 25 weeks to pay that off, Billy. Good question. And so those are standardized terms. It's not like, oh, they might qualify for 0% interest. No, everyone qualifies for 0% interest, and it's a 25-week term. It's standardized. All right, let's see. Well, Dave asked if it's in-house financing. Technically not. We're working with a different company to do this. And so it may seem like in-house financing to you, but there's a third-party company that's doing the financing. So it's not financed by IIMFL. Jim asks, can a prospect be denied access to our Credit Boost program? Only to the extent, and I bet this is the example. So there's no upfront cost for the Credit Boost program, is there, Jim? However, we collect banking information, the ACH information, when they enroll in the Credit Boost, so we can charge that account after the credit score has gone up. After the credit score has gone up. What we see is some people are not giving us accurate banking information. And so if they give us fraudulent banking information, then they'll be denied. Well, fraudulent, or we'll even be more generous and just say erroneous. So that's, I think, the only reason someone could be declined from Credit Boost, Jim, is if they lie or make a mistake and don't give us accurate banking information. Because again, no charge up front, but we need to have that banking information on file so we can charge that account after the Credit Boost has been recognized. So I think in your case, Jim, your client gave us bad banking information, so we voided the agreement, which you would do the same thing. Now, can they reapply and be honest this time? Yeah, we'll give them a second chance. Thank you, Jim, for that. Quentin asked a good question. Is the same access to capital 100,000, or is this a difference? Okay, so we have our access to capital program, which is $100,000 guarantee, no upfront cost. We start the first 4 weeks building financial literacy and building the loan package. And then separately, we have the Capital Ready package, which is what Joseph pitched here to his client. It's the same process. It's just the client pays the deposit up front, still refundable, but pays the deposit up front rather than waiting until the second week for the first tranche financing. Now you might say, well, why in the world would a client want to do that? Why would they want to pay up front if they didn't have to? A couple reasons. Number one, they get the commercial address if needed for free, which is about a $1,200 savings. And they also get credit boost for free. They don't have to pay performance fees on that if needed. So they get a couple perks. Secondly, you're kind of controlling what you pitch, right? And so if you pitch capital ready package, then they'll sign up for that. They'll pay you $2,500. You keep half, send us half. But the implementation process is the same, Quentin. Good question. All right, yes, and I'm doing a screen share right now, Robert. So if you're not seeing my screen as others are, I can't explain the technical difficulty you may be having, but I'll send out a recording of this in YouTube. Okay, so Dion says this line of credit, this new trade line, can get into the wrong hands who has someone who has no integrity. Well, you're right. So Dion brings up a very good point. Are we being too generous to help everyone? So Dion, I think what Dion's saying, what if someone has bad credit? Should we extend to them financing terms when they don't really deserve it on paper? Dion, I don't want to call you an elitist, but you're a little bit elitist. And so we're all about giving people second chances and giving them opportunities. And you're right, it's a higher risk group. They haven't paid their bills before, and we're hoping and praying that they'll pay their bills going forward. But your point is good. And if you're talking like a banker would say, you do not deserve a loan if you have bad credit because you haven't paid your bills in the past. And in contrast, what we say is, well, everybody deserves a second chance, and we can do it right together this time. But I appreciate your point, Dion, and your point is shared by many bankers. That's why they won't loan money to people with bad credit. Now, what you and I can do is help people move from subprime to prime, help them boost their credit and become credible. Thank you, Dion. Okay, so Robert now sees our screen. Good. Dion says he understands now. Okay, so Billy asked, and Billy's got a good question. Okay, so the first tranche, and this is very, very important, and I hate that it's even coming up at the very end of the call because it probably should have been where I started. I'm going to paraphrase Billy's question concern. Why do we bother collecting a refundable deposit from clients? Why do we do that? Well, because your time is valuable, Billy and Anna Marie and Barry and Beatrice and Bernard and Bruce and Chanel and Kwong and Dave and DeAndre and Dolores and Dion and Gerard and James and Jim and Joseph and Kelvin and Kim and Mark and Quentin and Robert, Timothy, Victor, Wes, Will, and William and others. Your time is valuable. So by the client paying the refundable deposit, that allows money to start coming to you. So that's bullet point number one. Bullet point number two is building the loan package isn't free. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes support. It takes the live plan subscription. And so it is really a $5,000 value. We've shrunk that down to $2,500. We don't even collect that up front. Plus we make it refundable. That as long as they'll continue the process, we end up building them a $5,000 loan package for free. So that's why we're collecting the refundable deposit, and that's in the agreement. It's always been in the agreement. They don't have to pay it up front. It waits until the first tranche of financing. Now, with that being said, our preference is to be able to get funding from third parties so they get cash in their bank, just like DT did. But some people haven't managed their life very effectively. And I'm not placing judgment, but for whatever reason, they don't have any of the qualifying 3 C's. So what we can do is issue them a safety net, and that safety net covers the cost of the refundable deposit. It's an installment loan with very generous terms, and it reports to build their positive credit, to build their credit score. So now they're making the payments. Billy's question is, well, can they pay it off early? Absolutely. We would love for them to pay it off early, because if they pay it off early, then we get you paid early, because otherwise you're getting paid off of this tranche on an as-earned basis. But if they pay it off early, you get paid early, right? So that's even better. And so, well, how could they pay it off early? Maybe they're doing what every business should do. They're making sales, right? They're selling some product or service to some customer, and they're generating more revenue than expenses. They have money left over, and they decide, oh, I'd like to pay this off early. They're welcome to do that. Probably foolish for them to do it, because at 0% interest, why would you pay off a loan like that early? But regardless, they could do that. The other is maybe we've moved on to the next tranche of financing, and then they want to pay this off early. But again, there's not too many tranches of financing that's going to be at 0%. So to be honest with you, Billy, I don't see a lot of people paying this off early, because the question is, why would you? Like if you went down to the Mercedes dealership and they offered you 0% on a new S series for 72 months, Billy, what would your motivation be to pay off that car loan early? Because you're paying no cost, no interest cost. So that's my response to that. Let's go to the next question. All right, Robert needs some Zoom help, and so we'll get you some Zoom support, Robert. Thank you. Timothy says this program is really a game changer. He hasn't seen any of the existing products in the market and what we do. Yep, yeah, and I agree. When we're going out largely to a subprime market that is underserved, and I've thought about this many times, and I'm going to say it today. I've never said it on record because I know this is a recording. It'll be on YouTube, but it's so someone can call me on it and it's verifiable. Here's the truth. So I used to work for the SBA, right, up until July 5th, 2019. I was an advisor. We would work with small businesses, had a 7-county area that I was responsible for. I'll tell you exactly what my boss told me. If you have someone that comes in that is subprime, that really aren't mainstream fundable right away, the term they used was give them some homework. So in other words, don't keep scheduling appointments with them. Don't let them bog down your time. Go give them some homework that they'll never do and make them go away. So the point is, what you and I do is incredibly important. We're helping the subprime market where they normally can't get assistance. Now, do we only work with subprime clients? Of course not. We work across the continuum. But our greatest value proposition, to no surprise, is the subprime marketplace, because they can't get funding elsewhere. They can't go get a new trade line with crappy credit like we'll give them, with 0% interest, no inquiry, next day funding, essentially guaranteed approval, and now it reports on their damn credit report, so they look better on paper tomorrow than they did today. I mean, what we're doing is powerful and ethical and credible and certainly needed. That's why some of you are, again, on track to make 30 grand or more a month by generating just one client a day. And you don't have to sell anything. Just feed them in. We'll close them, we'll implement them, and you get paid. Okay, so thank you, Timothy, for that. Robert's looking for some Zoom support. Yep, we covered that, Robert. Okay, who else has questions, concerns about what we cover? I'm getting ready to head out to the airport, but I got a couple more minutes. Who else has a question on the success stories? And we'll have new ones each day. So when we come back Monday, we'll have new success stories for you. And then on topic of the day, because this is a big deal if you stop to understand it. Again, this is the safety net. This is the backup for those people that can't otherwise get funding. This is huge, absolutely huge. It gets you paid. Now it's paid a little bit differently because it's as earned, because it's recourse to us. But you're 100% certain of getting paid from the FTF, first tranche financing, from every client that you refer in, and 100% of clients now can be confident they'll get at least their first tranche of financing in the first 30 days. We're not just talking about, oh, you'll get your loan package built in 30 days. You'll have your first tranche of financing in the first 30 days. It's huge. It's huge. So if you don't understand it, go back and listen to this recording and think through it some more. All right, and so Timothy is looking for doing some pre-recorded messages to be able to blast out in campaigns, and certainly we want to be able to help all of you and support you with your campaigns. First thing I'd recommend, Timothy, is make sure that you have listened to the trainings and review the information on the website, and we'll be happy to work with you on that. Anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns before we hang it up for today and I head out to the airport? All right, we'll see you back Monday morning. Thanks, everyone. Let's get our one in today. Bye-bye.